Hi, this is Beezy, and I'm with Beverly Welbourne, and it's Tuesday, May 15th. My brain will engage. And we've just done the second part of the Atlas shifting. And so we're going to just have a little conversation about that. Do you want to start, Beverly? You had mentioned the, um, the move and the shift of Taurus and Mars. We can start with it. I think that plays into other things we'll be talking about.
Yeah, so how I might put it is I am enjoying the shift of the planet Uranus into Taurus. And I maybe didn't fully know what all I was experiencing until it changed. But I think I would describe the previous energy, which was in Aries, as having been a little more nervous and also very Aries-like, kind of a feeling of, I want it now, like that. Like that's a kind of the baby of the zodiac kind of feeling. And so this shift into Taurus is kind of relaxing. And it also it feels like it may not be that the change is completely rapid or, rapid according to me or something, but it feels like it's almost guaranteed to be steady because that Taurus just kind of keeps going.
Right.
And Taurus is really strong. So just to take another step and take another step, that is where Taurus really.
You seem to be frozen here. Am I still there for you, Beverly? Yeah, I think we're
there.
Hang on, wait. The screen.
Did we lose? So. Did we lose the recording of that?
I think we got it back. So go ahead and you finished with the tours, and you said you could share something else. So go there.
Yeah. So I did what I usually do on a person's second session, which is I make sure that the atlas is really derotated, and I just sing the codes until I'm sure that that's there and that it's really solid. So I got that, and I do a little bit with the coccyx and the hips. I kind of work with the other some other major bones that affect the spinal column. So I work with the alignment there and just making sure that you're like physically, anatomically symmetrical in accordance with what the codes can do in your body. And then, so because of some things that you asked about before, I offered also some codes to release fear and guilt and grief. And of course, those are personal to you in some way. All of them are there for all humans. And you probably have some exact stories and details about things like that. But then also, in addition to that, you are in a position to send these frequencies out into the collective. And so that's part of what my purpose is to let these frequencies go out into the collective so that these things can be changed for everybody. So then after I did that, this does not always happen every time. It has happened in session before, but I actually got a brand new code while I was singing to you. And they are calling it, she is crowning. You know how there's sort of this general feeling that it's almost like we're having this baby. It's like there will be this terrible contraction, and you can't do anything but deal with this whatever energy it is, and then everything like is all quiet. It's like we're in between contractions, and it almost seems like nothing's going on, and you could go to sleep. Right. And then okay, here comes another contraction. Now here's another one, and it's like there's this just general feeling like the whole planet is having a giant baby of some kind. So they called this code "She is Crowning," and I'm actually inclined. You can talk about it a little bit if you want to, but I'm inclined to actually record that code, that brand new code.
Let's do it.
Just do it now.
Let's do it.
Okay.
That's what we're here for, so let's do it, baby.
Okay, so this is called "She is Crowning." Ooh, we are, 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 ooh, we are. Ooh, we are, ooh, we are.
That was a zinger. That was very cool. That was very interesting. I'm not sure the best way to talk about that. I'm going to leave that for a moment and how I felt that, and go just because I think it'll be helpful for others' progression. So when we had our conversation off camera before we did the first session, you had asked me, what have I been feeling, what I've been experiencing, and I mentioned in more detail actually than I had on the video about my walk to the laundromat. And then another thing that happened just after that was where I could actually see inside of my brain all of the pathways and neurons remapping and the colors and a whole story about what was going on in there. And then I had shared with you that a very clear request and conversation that I'd had come up when I was going to see the woman that I play with Bowen had come up again with when I was sitting and speaking with you, and that was if you resonated, if you felt into that, just to add. You had mentioned you were going to add the code about fear and what the
Fear, guilt, and grief is what
yeah, the first one was fear and guilt. And so, and I said, that's great. And that's when you said that I took, excuse me, I took that as a universal thing as well as for me as a transmitting conduit after that. And obviously there's always pockets because we're human, fear and grief and stuff. So I could point to many a time. But so then the thought of this conversation came up of to request, if it resonated with any of the codes and with you, to widen what the message was for you and the Bowen person was to widen the actual, using linear metaphor, to widen the highways of communication centers within me, because the influx and breadth and depth of packets and information that was coming in and was, I also got the sense not only was it coming in, but that we're about to come in, would be helpful to have those wider highways. So you tuned into that and you came up with the grief was the code that you felt was that. And again, that was a personal thing and for a collective, because there's much of that. So you went and you were doing the thing, and I remember, a lot of the codes that you had done before, they were similar. They pinged, they resonated with me the same, in similar ways they did from the first time we did this. And the first new code that you got to, and I don't know which one it is, my thought is it was the the fear and the
Fear.
first.
Mm-hmm.
That was very interesting. In me, in the receptivity of me, in the kind of resonance and the connection within me, I could feel eddies in pockets where it was almost like it was tunneling down into certain places where there may have been some cellular memory deep in there. And so, I was just feeling into that. And then it was very distinct. It was almost like when the harmonics of the code, and this all happens very rapidly, but when the harmonics of the code targeted and dematerialized that part within that deep eddy, it opened up to the sense. At first it seemed, maybe because I was down in that deep eddy of the cellular memory, but it seemed like it was in a big cave, and then it was on this planet, but it was a very, very, very long time ago, eons ago, in the time of the Anunnaki, and in the time of the tinkering and all of that. And what was fascinating to me was it was, well, and I can feel the answering in it right now that I'm describing on the right track here. It was going into them and reverberating. There is no time, but we'll do it in the linear placeholder back within their lineage and the whole mission and kind of trajectory they were on, and then forward in timelines forward from the tinkering and from all of what has transpired from then to now. So that was the sense, and there was a great sense of reverb in the codes going in, and I was experiencing it palpably, not only coming through me, but then coming out as a transmitter through me that way. So when we were done with that, and then the session, and when we were talking, you were talking at the beginning of when we were videoing about Taurus and something, and I had the sense we're going to get interrupted. Something's coming up that's not wanted to be coming through. So I'm fiddling, trying to get that. I paused my side of the recording while I could fiddle more. And then you came on, and that was this new code. Anyway, so to me, personally, it's a fascinating, that whole flow and experience. I just wanted to line it up for people who are now joining so they can get a little bit of a quote unquote sequential, although that's silliness, but anyways, it's a linear.
Well, I can feel that what you're saying is true, because I can resonate with it in my body. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And the new code that you came in with, the crowning, okay, so then I'll finish up with that part. That was, okay, just on a linear personal level, very cool. But beyond that, it's set up, I could feel the setup of a coherence resonance field between myself now and my being signature back eons ago. I could feel it. So moving quantum this way, so all of the beings and all now in coherence with all of the beings and all then. Again, I'm using linear placeholders. And what it then, it had a cascading effect. So that new code had a cascading effect where it all of those, both the here and the then and all, and I don't mean just all on this planet, all, was in coherence, and the new codes, the new crowning, um, again, metaphorically, although pretty get the sense of pretty literally, is not only the crowning of the rebirth, but the crowning of the crystalline Christos consciousness coming through, reverberating throughout all in its newest, highest, from before highest, octave or dimensional frequency platform, which up leveled all dimensions to the newest. So I got the sense that we actually popped fully into the 13th dimension. Is now not that space holder anymore. There's a new one above that, and everything has gone up. Anyways, that's what came to me, and it was a fun zinger because I was here in this chair and all in this section of space, and then all together.
Beautiful, BZ. Beautiful.
But I'm just in a cabin taking a moment of the day.
Yeah, all of those things are happening at once. Yeah, and I'm just sitting here. I'm in my office. I have a cute little room with a little pond outside in like Southern Ohio. And at the same time,
That's right.
I understand what you're saying,
yeah.
and how these energies are coming in and are just helping us to become more of what our truth is. They're helping us to become more of who we truly are, our expanded selves, our multidimensional selves. So yeah, what I was going to say about the grief, I was just going to mention the grief code again. I think that especially for the way showers, and maybe for many people, that grief can actually be a grief regarding the incarnation in the first place, because you came from a very high frequency, multidimensional place, for lack of a better term, and then you embodied into a dense place, and basically ever since then you've been like working to raise the vibration of that density into something that you knew before, right, or at least in that direction. Right. And so this feeling of grief or loss I think can come in at the beginning of your life. So anyway, that's just another comment on that particular code.
Yeah, that reminds me, because I distinctly had the sense of that when you said it, and then as I was going through the toning, the codes. Aside from my personal story trajectory being, I had two distinct, which also relates to my personal and the all of that, was one, the grief, the collective grief of all that has transpired in from the tinkering forward, from all of what's gone and how things, because it's in a polarity way. So there is the energy frequency that, there's good and there's bad and grief and not. So all of that, encompassing all of that, and and it within, included in that was, remember when I said the all the way back to the time of the Anunnaki, in their grief as well, for all that they had put a place in. So that was actually for me very large, and um, it seemed to be a very important um, click, or I'm not sure the right way to say it, or fitting into of a releasing for all in that respect. The other was the grief for before the Anunnaki of the which is kind of the codes that this whole year is about, or the frequency transmit this whole year is about, that Sheila's mentioned before, of um, opportunities lost. And it's not something lost and as it's gone by and you can't have it, but in the original organic human and the living library and all of that, what this planet was originally set up for. And then all of the species that created that took part in that to seed the original beings on this planet before the tinkering. Anyways, that was a reset and an acknowledgement of that grief as well. The way I hold it, when one tunes in and integrates something, and grief is a good example, and you can then dive into the different levels of that. And for me, I was picking up on those three, so my personal and those two others that I talked about. It actually resets it all or reconfigures it all because it's integrated it all. And so it's magnified the exponential leap that then all benefit from.
I honor that. I feel that. I feel that inside. I honor that that description of it.
Cool.
And I'll think about that too. I have to think about that myself. Like we usually think, or I think back to the Anunnaki, but you're thinking back beyond the Anunnaki, and I think that that's correct. Like now that I see what you're saying, that's right. We need to do that. Because there's something before all of that. There's something before that, and our consciousness does need to go there to process that as well.
And the crowning, the new codes that came in, the crowning codes, like I say, it's not only the crowning of, well, we're in this and we're going to go to this new something, new earth, blah, blah, blah. It's way I mean, yes, that's part of it. But as the others came back and we go all the way back, we crown that new beginning as well. So what was the living library and that whole thing before the Anunnaki? It's not just that will then come in and reset. It's up level to a whole new thing. So we're crowning on the way beyond.
Well, I think of it, and I'm hearing like your description of it. I almost think of it as like a very massive soul retrieval where we're going back all the way before these things occurred, and we're going to find the soul part that was lost, and we're going to bring it forward in time and integrate it.
Yes. From so much, when you were saying that, what come through is so much so to before this is not, and it's on some levels, on the biggest expansive level, it's actually not accurate, but in anything beyond the biggest level, before there was anything that was individuated fractal parts that went out. So yeah. The others, just to finish up on my kind of wrap up of what I felt, my sense too was your crew of beings that came with you. My sense of them today was and I'm not sure how to read this, there was either more of them or more of them, if that makes sense. So either
Mm-hmm.
there was more of them or more of each one of them came in today for this. And I'm not sure if that was just my sense of it or if that was because of, since there is no past, present, and future, because of this moment of this happening right now, and they were giving the new code. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I felt them strongly. And most of the time that I get codes, I'm like meditating, or I have asked for them and I'm in nature. I'm like hearing it from nature,
mm-hmm.
or I'm half asleep, like lying down half asleep most of the time. But occasionally they do come in while I'm in a session. And so, you know, one came in for you today and for whomever it is that you touch.
Mm-hmm. Would you, this is just a prompting, so if you're up for it, we can go with it, otherwise we just said, if you're up for it, would you be open to tone the code again, and we'll finish on that?
And we'll just end there, yeah.
Just end there.
Okay. Yeah, one more time.
Thank you.
She is crowning. Ooh, we are, ooh.